Hi, hello and welcome back to my flip through. This is part 2 and we're gonna dive into the 2020, into my 2020 bullet journal and what it looked like. If you are here from the previous video, you will remember that this is a Thinkbat's notebook and with the little bear. And it's my first bullet journal and it contains 2 years. It contains 2019 and 2020. So the previous video we flipped through 2019, very minimalist, very samey looking, etc. Jumping around in days and months and not really keeping up with it much. And now this is 2020 and we all know what a mess 2020 was of a year. So this is going to be an interesting flip through in my opinion. So anyway, this is the page that I did to signify that this was 2020 and 2019 was over. So I put the sticker on and I put this little bit of washi tape on. Actually, these are both things. I bought some washi tape and these are the stickers. They came on the packet of the washi tape, but they were too pretty to just throw away. So I was like, I'm just gonna put them in the first page of the 2020 spread. And that's what I did. And the quote says, "You kinda owe it to yourself to do all the things you dreamed of. You dreamed, go bravely, go deeply." I actually don't know if this quote is for somewhere. All I know is that I liked it. And this was like 2020. Everybody was like, 2020 is gonna be my year, blah blah. Like we were all celebrating the New Year's still. We were all such innocent summer children, not knowing what was coming up. But this was the quote for 2020 because I really wanted to go out and get it in 2020. Lol. Pep talk, except the pep talk never happened. I never went back to rewrite it, and that was actually really sad. That should have been that was a really bad omen for 2020 right off the start. These are still things that I got from that package of washi tape, so I didn't want to throw them away, so I just put them in here. The pep talk never happened, and that's I never went back to fill the pep talk bit, and that was really sad because if you remember, the very first page of my bullet journal was the pep talk that I gave myself in 2019, and that was really good for my mental health and everything. And obviously I wanted to do it again, but I never went back and added it in. Self, why? Why do you do this to yourself? You gotta do this. You gotta do this the moment that you do them. And then I had my goals and focus of the things that I wanted to do in 2020. So I focused on my studies first, then YouTube second. Vulnerability, this is basically putting yourself out there and basically just putting yourself out there and seeing what happens when you're honest and you do connections and you meet people and stuff, and and you let people see your films and your writing and your art and things like that. Then it was kindness and confidence, and then it was career, because I was gonna try and build my career in 2020, and then that obviously didn't happen. Also, the reason that I never went back to fill in the pep talk is because I filmed a bullet journal video. I filmed myself doing the 2020 spread, but then I never uploaded it. And that's why I didn't want to just fill in the pep talk for hours on end on that video, which is why I skipped it. But then I never went back to fill it in, which was really silly of me. And now, as you can see, this is my first washi tape that I ever bought. These really pastel-y brown colors, and this one, and these velvet. I don't want to say velvet. It's purple, but really pastel purple. So I tried to do the same thing. I tried to do the to read, to watch, and to play. Very much smaller than the list that was on 2019. And also I didn't actually manage to read. Well, I read Neuromancer and I gave up on it. I tried to read Julian and I gave up on it. I finished Dracula, didn't like it. Fahrenheit 451 I finished. I did not finish Twin Peaks season 3. I did rewatch her at least. And then I did play Grease, and I did play Animal Crossing, and I did play Dragon Quest 11, and I did play Rune Factory 4. That's not an 11, Faith. That's Dragon Quest 9. Silly Faith. Silly Fed. Rune Factory 4 I also played. Gotta marry my husband next. Anyway, this is an ideas for film dramas, etc. and stuff that I had going on. Yes, I actually liked a lot of these ideas. Lots of these are still in working. Say the radio drama, the cyberpunk drama was the radio drama that I was doing way back in December in 2019, if you remember. Lonely Spirit Guiding was going to be my second film, which I never managed to shoot because of COVID. And then these were like 2 other ideas for films that I was toying with. The future log. Oh my gosh. I had so much going on. Like, this is the future log before COVID struck. And like, I had a lot going on. I had my radio drama deadline. I had my film to finish. I had all of these other things to do. And then nothing ever happened. And then, as you can see, June, July, and August, I put them all in one thing because I thought back to the future log of the previous year, and I thought back to like the big black hole that was summer of 2019, and I was like, I'm just gonna put these months all in one thing, and I'm not gonna pressure myself to be productive during these months, and I just wanna enjoy summer. November, December, and then January 2021, I put that in because I thought, well, what if I need to do a future log for January? What if something happens in January and then I don't have a future log to put that in? So I was like, well, I'm just gonna add January 2021 on here. This is like a contact page of people in the industry that I managed to connect with before COVID hit. And this is my January spread. Lots of color, lots of weird stuff going around, to be honest. Like random washi tape. This was the goals and to-do of college and creativity. These are supposed to be snowflakes, I think, these random things. Habits were done much better, I think. Okay, a pro tip. Never do symbols as habits unless you know exactly what you are doing. Because like this is clearly drinking water and this is clearly YouTube. And this I know for a fact that it's skincare because I've always used this as my like skincare emoji. And this is meditation. But for the life of me, I do not remember what this heart was. I do not remember if this heart was like relaxing or doing hobbies or just being genuinely kind to myself or doing self-care. I cannot remember what this heart means. And I did it twice on a weekend. So I literally have no idea what this could be. So for your habits, always have either symbols that you know you will remember the meaning of, or just don't bother with symbols, just write the things. Lots of stuff due in January. More stuff that came with packages that I was like, I don't want to get rid of this. So gratitude and positivity, again, I'm really bad at these. This is another bad habit that I took from 2019, brought it straight into 2020. Brain dump, really small, really tiny. Loads of stuff going on. This is mostly college. As you can see, like these pages still look very samey. Lots of college, and then it's February, and this is where I use more washi tape. This is like a really cute letter, old school letter thing, washi tape that I really like, because I had an aesthetic that I was trying to go for my bullet journal, but then I never, like, I'm not good with aesthetics on paper, so it just never took off the way that I wanted it to. YouTube, face reading, cool habits, getting better with recording habits. Loads of stuff due. Loads of goals and tasks for this month. Some of which were obviously never finished because a lot of it was college. Brain dump, huge brain dump. And then like stuff. Okay, these pages is like I went back to reread the bullet journal book because I needed some guidance. Like I needed to clear my head on what kind of goals I was going for, because I was getting really lost in like essays and things that were due for college and stuff, and I had to kind of stop and look at the big picture again of where I was trying to go and what my long-term plans are. So I did like goals personal and goals professional, long-term, mid-term, short-term. This is all stuff that's in the bullet journal book, so if you are curious, definitely read and check it out. And this was more of this, like focusing on the 3 things that I wanted to do most was writing, photography, videography, some of it, and then YouTube was another big thing that I wanted to focus on that I never managed to do in the year. And this was doubts. This was not something that was in the bullet journal book, but I was like, I have some doubts, I want to write them down so they can stop, hurting my head. What do I want? The no looks focus and the networking and stuff like that. And then we're back on doing things, doing loads of things for college and such and stuff. And then March came, and this is the month when quarantine began. And you can probably tell because like I had stuff going on. This is all before quarantine was a thing, and then none of it got ticked off in the goals and tasks or anything. And then like the blur of the habits that never came to be, these things that I ended up doing them just because I'm a good student, honestly. But yeah, events and positivity literally just not much. Brain stuff. Was also trying some new I was also trying a new key here, I think, like of doing big circles. Week 1, trying to monitor my water, my food, and my 5 a day, and then gave up super quickly. Loads of little flowers. This is like the first drawings that I started to do in my bullet journal. So loads of flowers, trying to be more creative with the way that I write things, and like trying to differentiate things more between each other. Fun fact, this is Wednesday 4th, and then I didn't touch my bullet journal until Wednesday 11th, so it just looks like there's 2 Wednesday right next to each other. Stuff that needs doing. Quarantine coursework, hell yeah, because I still had coursework to do during quarantine. Now if you watched my quarantine video, you will remember this. I did this to give myself a schedule right in, this was after Friday the 27th of March. I was trying to give myself a schedule because my days were I went through a mix of burnout and just being super lost because my schedule was totally taken away from me, and I wasn't working very well. So I was trying to give myself a schedule, and then this was planning the April bujo spread, and the schedule never happened, by the way. The schedule, I was never good with the schedule. Fun fact, Thursday the 26th of March 2020 is when I watched The Rise of Skywalker with my Discord friends, and they were I had never watched it, and neither had my partner. There was one other person who had watched the film, and we all just hated it. Like it was really fun. Like I could not have survived this film by myself at all. So I have very fond memories actually of this day, of this specific movie night, even though it was really cursed. Fun fact number 2, we also watched The Cats on January 1st of 2020, so I think that's what cursed the whole year with my friends. We watched it on a terrible like cam record thingy. I'm so sorry everybody. I'm so sorry everybody for cursing 2020. This is my April spread. Okay, so I actually filmed myself doing this spread. And then I never uploaded it, obviously, because it wouldn't be me if I uploaded what I film, would it? But yeah, I was like, I'm gonna do a really, really complicated April spread and I'm gonna film it. And then doing the spread is gonna make me want to do more bullet journal stuff. And then it never actually did because I made too complicated a spread. So starting with this, like I like this though. And it was like, this is Invincible Summer. This is a reference to my favorite quote. In the depths of winter, I found that there was in me an invincible summer. I really like that quote. So this month is quarantine month, and like I did a little calendar like this because like there was no reason to do my usual spread. I didn't think, because I mean I took April off just for myself in 2020. Like I was like, I'm not gonna do coursework and I'm not gonna stress over anything. I'm just gonna recuperate all of my energy because I'm burning out. Tasks and goals, yeah, I did this before I decided that April was gonna be the month where I did nothing. So I had a load of stuff. I still like this type of doing things with the washi tape and the you know the things. I started doing these check-ins, which were actually quite helpful, even though I only filled the beginning of the check-ins, but the check-ins are really good and I should keep doing them. This was my to read and to watch during quarantine. Yeah, I really shouldn't have used like all this space just for this. I was going kind of insane when I was doing the spread, I think. Then I had my habits and my mood that I was going to monitor, and my water 5 a day, blah blah. As I said, I went kind of insane during the spread. The brain dump that I never filled in, the schedule with a K because it's cool. Actually, I just misspelled schedule and I was like, I'm gonna embrace the cringe. But yes, early morning, mid-morning, blah blah. I never filled this in. Totally useless spread. And this is how much I used my bullet journal in April. Coursework plan, just like old times. Sunday the 19th, Monday the 20th. And that's it. And then like a blank page, and I was like, well, I gotta write something here because I need to make my May spread. And then I just wrote end of April, let's try again. And this was my May spread. And as you can see, it's so much better. Like, okay, I actually like this spread. This spread is gonna look like a mess probably on camera, but I really like this spread because I had washi tape going on, I had these cute cats and I had these cute bunnies, and I had like, you know, look at my habits, look at my skincare. I was so good with my skincare in May. Then I read tons and I did work and I was creative at times, you know. Kept my mood up quite a lot. Like I recorded my mood a lot and gave myself a little pep talk in here, like even more creative with like the wording and the stuff to do, stuff to pass the time with. Like I totally embraced May. Look, the check-in, got the beginning, got the middle, never went in to fill in the rest, but you know, two out of 3 is still good, right? And then like starting from the very beginning, and look at this. I did it. Like my thing was really good. I only missed a few days here. 21st goes to 25th. Then 5 days until the end of May, and then loads more cats and like these really cute stickers that come from one of my friends. Sent me a card all the way from America, and all the cute kittens, and like really big celebration on this Wednesday because it was finally the end of term, and I was told I gotten an A in as my last grade, so that made me really happy. And then like Thursday, ending the month. So May was actually a really good month for me. And then June was the complete opposite. Like I went back into my old habits of depression and stuff. I changed my activity from I put my activity as passive and active. So active is anything that's creating, and passive is anything that is relaxing, like consuming media and such. Check in, which I never filled in. Loads of journaling here because I was going through another period. There was something that was on my mind. Then Wednesday the 17th, okay, let's start over. Like I just love. Oh, I was playing a lot of Rune Factory 5 here. But like this is what I love about the bullet journal, is like I could just journal here, and then on the 11th just journal, and then on the 17th and then just leave it, and then on the 17th come back and just be like, yeah, let's do this again. Like that was really good. That's what's really good about the bullet journal. July also kind of a mess. Too many habits, I have to say. I don't know what's going on with this habits thing. I don't know why I did it like this. This was a bad idea. Not really checking on my mood. Goals, way too many. Activities, but I wasn't really keeping up with them. Weird stuff. Brainstorming. I just had a brainstorming page at random because there was so much that was on my mind that I just needed to have this page in the middle of a month, basically. And then August 2020, keeping up more with the habits and goals and activities to do. Actually did more this month than I did ever. Even though I didn't bullet journal very much at all. This is all of August. 4 days, Wednesday the 5th, Thursday 6th, Tuesday 11th, and Thursday the 13th. This was August, everybody. You can see why I thought that the bullet journal was gonna fit, right? In the other half. Okay, now here, with some birthday money, I got myself some brush pens. So this is why you're starting to see color like this, like color combination and stuff, color coordination even. So it's because I got some brush pens and I was really like hyped to use them. So this is September, keeping up with the habits a bit more. University started. I'm not at college. I call it university because I'm not at college anymore. College was so much nicer in so many ways. But yeah, this was September. I had a lot going on actually because I made a video for The Social, for BBC The Social, and I was picked for a zine. I was picked for the Asexual zine, the very first one as far as I can see. And I was really happy about that. I was picked as a writer. And then this is where I started to do like stuff like this, like adding some color. I got a stamping thing with stamp letters, and I started using it because I preferred to use that. That was more my aesthetic than the brush pen stuff. I did my first watercolor painting, as you can tell by this big thing, the big words. And then I started doing stuff like this, like using more color, putting more washi tape in, like doing this thing because I had stuff going on for university and I wanted it to be his own thing. Then all of this. These were like some ideas for a screenwriting class that I had. This was me trying to understand how to do some doodles. Lol. And then October 2020, okay. I had too long of a list of goals for October 2020. Never do this. I was very overwhelmed in October. There was quite a lot to do for university, and also I had too many habits that I was trying to record at once again, and too many goals, and I just there was so much going on. I had a writing class outside of uni, and that burned me out, and then I had to do my story for the asexuality zine and all stuff like that that burned me out a bit. So much writing, yes indeed, I was doing loads and loads and loads of writing. I was doing writing for the class, I was doing for the outside class of uni, I was doing writing for uni, I was doing writing outside of uni and outside of class for other things. This has been the year of writing. I joined a magazine journalism class at uni, and there was so much writing to do every week. Every week there was a new writing thing, a new writing exercise, and I was like, that almost burned me out. So this is my to-do. This was my reading week, and this was my to-do for that reading week. As you can tell, I was still doing stuff for uni, still washi tape and stuff. So this page is probably gonna look like a total mess on camera, and it is a total mess of a page in a bit. But this page was so helpful because I was just going a bit insane. This page is called Stuff That Has Happened to Me Recently, and I did a bunch of doodling, and I did some washi tape, and I was trying this stuff, washi tape here and such, and all the colors, coordination, because I just really needed this page. I needed to write stuff down. I needed to just take a moment that wasn't bullet journaling, that wasn't daily log, and just kind of have a free-for-all thing. And this was super useful, and I really, really enjoyed making this page, actually. I know it's a mess. I know that when it jumps out at you, it's a mess, because it's just so much talking and so many doodles and such, and washi tape at random places. But it was so helpful, and after I made this page, I felt so much better. So I actually really like this spread, even though it's a mess. And this is November, so we're already at November, as you can see. I did more doodling. I did more of this thing to try and give it some personality. I did more color coding, color coordination even, and as you can see, I called it trackers, but this is still my habits, and I actually stopped doing the symbols. I just started calling it exercise, art, skin, my medication, YouTube, reading, sleep. I started recording my sleep, and I did these color thingies to sort of so that it could flow better and it wasn't just a mess of crosses and things like that. I had some stuff for uni going. November was a really weird month because all of my university stuff was basically due on the same week, if not the same day. So I was working so much during November. It's just that it doesn't really reflect in the calendar view of the month. This is my goals. So remember, my October goals were so many, and I didn't actually manage to do many of these. I actually learned from this, believe it or not, and these were my goals for November, and I actually finished these. Actually, I am going to take this off because I did finish that. But yeah, I decided, I knew that November was just going to be the month of uni. I just needed to focus entirely on uni for this month because I had I had a very chunky assignment. Well, there were very chunky assignments for every class, to be honest. But I knew that I needed this month to just focus on uni. And I didn't want to make myself feel guilty for not doing like 50 goals or anything. So I was just honest with myself, and I was like, okay, I only have a few goals for this month, and the goals are to finish my uni classes, and my bullet journal should reflect this. So I did that, and my goals took up a quarter of the page. And then, because as you can see, like we're almost at the end of the notebook. So in order to save space, and also for my head as well, this actually helped me more than I thought. Like, I thought I was just saving space, but this actually helped my actual head, the way that I saw time, and the way that I organized how to get my stuff done for uni. I started dividing it by week. So I did week 1, and I had like a list of things that I needed to do for uni, and then other stuff that I had to do as well that week. And then this now becomes just university. And then week 2, the stuff that I had to do. And then week 3, the stuff that I had to do. Also like low-key going insane, low-key and getting really, really mad at the uni. I really did not enjoy the first semester. And then as you can see, like this was last push. And then I did like everything. This was super helpful to just see the month in terms of weeks, because like I knew what needed to get done by that week, by the end of that week. And it was just like balancing my need to relax and to not burn out with like the stuff that I had to do for uni. So this actually helped a lot, because usually I would like start the daily log, and then every day I would just keep recording, keep saying the same tasks over and over, and that really wasn't helping. So I just decided I'll do it week by week, because I know what needs to be done by the time the second week rolls around, and the third week rolls around, and the fourth week rolls around. So this was way more helpful. I saved a lot of space, but I also helped me get organized with my stuff way more. So I'm definitely gonna do this again. I think I'm probably gonna do this again in like March of next year, because that's when I will be working the most, I think, on my assessments. But this is definitely helpful, and I'll do it again. And this is December. So as you can see, this is my December spread. I tried to do this thing and I did it wrong. A classic of me, to be honest. And then the fourth Friday was the last day of uni. And actually I don't know if you probably can't tell, because I did go back and fill this in, but I only did the spread on like Monday the 14th. I took this week off completely to rest after uni was over, because I really needed to turn off my brain after all of that. And these are my habits again: exercise, art, etc. Passive. We're back to active and passive now, because I want to do like passive for relaxing, and then active is like stuff like recording videos and being creative and, you know, doing all kinds of art. And this is what I did here. Like, there's no goals for this month, for December. There's only activities. I doodled a bit more as well. Try to do some like Christmas doodles, but I don't really feel Christmassy at all. And I did the activities active and passive again. Passive is consuming media, and active is like being creative and doing things for my portfolio and such. And stuff like that. And so even though I made the spread like in the middle of the month, I went back to fill in stuff, because like I could tell when I had exercised, because I have like Google Fit on my phone, and I always record whenever I go on walks or exercise. And I can tell when I did art, and I could tell when I did skincare routine, because I usually do that when I exercise as well. My sleep is the only thing that I couldn't go back and fill in, because I had no idea. but yeah, and then the rest of the week is to fill in again. So, and then this is it. There's these 2 pages which I don't know what I'm going to use them for, to be honest. I could do like a year in review perhaps, or I could just organize. I could just start thinking about what my 2021 spread is gonna look like, because I have a few ideas. But I do have these 2 empty pages to use now for whatever reason, for whatever purpose that I want. And then, as you can see, this is, I did this with the stamps that I got the end. But yeah, this is basically the end of the bullet journal. As you can see, I have some stuff here, but I have to go through this stuff because it's a bit of a mess. But I did use the back of my bullet journal for some stuff. For some of it is creative, some of this is video, some of this is planning my radio drama and such. So the back of the bullet journal is for creative pieces of paper, like pieces of paper about creative things that I didn't know where to put. But yeah, this is the end of 2020, and let me see how much it took up back in January, the future log. Well, this was the entirety of 2020, and like some of these pages were taken up in completely useless ways. Like, you know, this page was just silly stuff. And like my April spread, which was here, my April spread took so many pages up, and it really didn't need to, because it was April and I didn't even use my bullet journal much at all during April. So this was a bit of a mixed. The 2020 bullet journal was a bit of a hit and miss. I think I definitely got more consistent with tracking my stuff, because like my November tracker is looking way more full, and so is my December tracker, even though I went back to fill it in. But I was keeping track of those things, and I was doing spreads like this, for example. I had like, by the end of the bullet journal, I was doing more stuff with colors, and more stuff with washi tape, and more stuff with stamps and doodles and such. So that has been quite a nice progression, actually, I think. My favorite spreads are definitely the May spread, one of my favorites, and then my November spread. This spread, also my favorite. This weekly thing that I did, fantastic. The colors are great, and this spread, I still love the spread, even though it's an absolute mess of a spread, but I still love it. And yeah, so I went from like doing stuff like this to doing stuff with stamps. So that was interesting to see how I went from like check it out. Like I went from doing stuff like this, which was super minimalist and black and not colorful at all and very practical and such, to doing stuff like this. And it only took 2 years of bullet journaling. Am I right, guys? It only took 2 years of bullet journaling, but we got there. But yeah, so this was my 2020 bullet journal flip through, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. What I would get out of it is that I don't know what your bullet journal looks like. I don't know if you skipped days, months, weeks like I did. I don't know if your bullet journal, like maybe you gave up on your tasks and your goals during 2020. Maybe you had too many and you didn't finish them all because 2020 was rough. You know, like the thing that I wanted to show with this flip through was that I went through all of that. Like the April spread was so big and it took up so many pages, and then I barely used the bullet journal that month. and it's not my fault, and it's fine. And then, you know, the simplest spreads were the ones that helped me the most. And just, you know, you can use the bullet journal. I guess what I would my takeaway from this flip through of my bullet journal is you can use the bullet journal really as you wish, and like nobody is meant to judge you on your bullet journal use. And that's right, not even yourself. You are not allowed to judge yourself on your bullet journal use for this year, for any year really, ever. You are not allowed to be mean to yourself when it comes to your bullet journal. The bullet journal is your friend. The bullet journal is your record of what's going on in your life and what's going on in your head. And it's totally fine if sometimes, you know, maybe you're going through a rough patch and the bullet journal reflects that because you barely touched it. I know I did. I know I barely touched my bullet journal. I managed to fit 2 years into one notebook. What I would say is your bullet journal is your friend. Your bullet journal is not your enemy. Your bullet journal is not there to judge you, and it's not a tool that you can use to judge you either. You're not allowed to do any judging based on your bullet journal. Judging of yourself, I mean. Remember when I said that you can skip weeks in a month in bullet journal and the bullet journal will still look like you never skipped a day? Like, remember here when I skipped from the 3rd to the 11th, but there is no blank page judging me for it. And then from the 11th I went to the 17th and there's no blank page judging me for it either. What I want to end this video on is be kind to yourself, be kind with your use of the bullet journal, and don't demonize the bullet journal. The bullet journal is not a tool that you can use to further judge yourself, to further do self-harm on yourself mentally. I mean, you know, I am still dealing with that. Like, I still sometimes use my bullet journal as indication of like how productive I am and stuff, but it doesn't have to be that way. The bullet journal can simply be our friend, and we should let it be our friend because it wants to be our friend, you know? But yes, it doesn't matter what your 2020 looks like. It doesn't matter what your bullet journal looks like this year. You survived, and that's like amazing in and of itself. I'm not even being hyperbolic. You are fantastic and amazing and super cool for surviving 2020. And I really do hope that 2021 will be our year, because honestly we deserve a break. We deserve to go back to doing stuff that makes us happy, and we deserve to go back to our dreams. Thank you for watching my 2020 bullet journal flip through, and if you did, also my 2019. Thank you for taking an interest in seeing my story of 2020 through my bullet journal. And I hope that you feel good about the fact that you have survived 2020. I hope that you feel good about your bullet journal this year. I just hope that you feel good, because you deserve to feel good. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and share it. And if you want to see more content from me, then feel free to subscribe as well. And maybe leave a comment with how you feel about 2020, how you feel about 2021, how you feel about your bullet journal. Anything goes. Let it out. Thank you so much again, and I hope to see you again soon in 2021. Bye!